Happy Sunday. I'm trying to get all of my computers working. Hopefully everything's working over here. It's been one of those days that things are not working. So I've actually been working a lot today. I got up early and I got all of the stuff for tonight ready. And then I decided to work on a couple more samples for the class tomorrow night, or for the class next week, I should say. So I worked on some flowers for the little class for next week. So I'll show you what those are going to look like. Hello, everybody. So how is everybody tonight? You know what? So here we are. It's been spring, well, almost summer, and now it's winter again. It's 36 degrees outside. So how many seasons can we have? And I know, hello, winter friends, no kidding. So here in Iowa, it is, it was like 80 degrees yesterday, and today it's 36. So, you just never know what it's going to do. It's Iowa in spring. So hopefully, it sounds like it's supposed to start warming up towards the end of the week. So hopefully it'll be kind of out of its system then. I'm having all of a sudden, it's like a whole bunch of comments came in. Woo! Hello. I'm trying to see who all is here. So, all right. So I want to tell you, all right. So this week we're going to work on the second half of the May Kimberbell Cutie. And then next week we're going to do some fun things on the scan and cut. So it was just something I wanted to do. And I was going to show you a little closer so you could see it. The pictures weren't great on the website, or on the group. Just a second here. All right. So the next week we're going to be doing this little sign. And it says welcome, and it has some little rolled felt flowers. So we're going to be cutting with that. We're going to be cutting with that rotary blade on the scan and cut. So that'll be next week's class. And then this is actually made out of paper, the welcome. It's made out of paper. Okay, so we're going to do that. Well, I was trying to think of spring. Everybody says, yeah, it's back to winter again. But, I'm trying to think of spring here. So anyway, I'm thinking flowers in spring. Okay. So anyway, this is what we're going to make next week. But I was playing today, making another sample with the flowers. And this is what I came up with today. And I don't know if you can see this very well. Let me see if I can tip this down just a little bit. The top part is actually from a company called Tailored Expressions in Ankeny, Iowa. And this is foiled with gold foil. And then I made the little flowers on the bottom. And then the little house thing came from the Dollar Tree. Isn't that darling? So that was a fun little project. So I made that today as another sample for the flowers class. So now for those of you who are having trouble, if you're having trouble finding the flower designs here, these flower designs are in the first post on Sew Along with Jan. If you're in the Facebook group, it's in the very first post. It's the featured post, and it's going to be under the embroidery sewing classes. Okay. And it's called, I think it's rolled felt flowers. It's either felt flowers or rolled felt flowers. So, okay. Yes, you actually really do need the rotary blade. I have never had good luck cutting felt without the rotary blade. So the rotary blade, that's Jackie. Yes, I have never had good luck cutting felt with the regular blades. So these cut way easy. I have to say that this one here, like this one with the little bumps on it, those take, like I cut 2 of them today, took 40 minutes. Now the rest of this one, And this one, or the other ones I gave you, those take like 5, less than 5. So those are not bad. So yes, the rotary blade. I had a couple people email me about the website. So if you've been trying to shop, the website has had some sort of an issue. And so I think Sarah may have gotten it fixed. So I hope it's okay now. So you can, if you need to buy, like the rotary blade's up there, that kind of thing. What kind of felt? This is just synthetic felt. It's just craft felt that and you can use wool felt if you want, but I just happen to have craft felt. So like this, I think it was all my Kimberbell felt. These are some of the new colors that Kimberbell has. And then this is just craft felt that I think I got at Hobby Lobby or someplace like that. So it doesn't need to be anything special. Okay. No, so the rotary blade does work really well. So this is for next week. All right. So I've been playing around and I've got another project I'm going to try to get done so that you can see another project done up. I just had a couple things I found at the dollar store that were really cute. So I wanted to make up a couple of them. And I've got another one of these little houses. I thought I'd make it up. It's white though. It's whitewashed instead of brown. So anyway, I thought I'd make up a couple other projects that you could use with the flowers. There's 3 flowers and the little leaves are in the machine and the welcome is actually in the machine and in the software also. So okay. And then we'll talk about the other ones after class. I love to do the scan and cut classes. So I've been trying to think of some just fun, different things to do with scan and cut. And then next month, I might actually do a software class, but talk about how to make SVG files in the software. So do the flowers that took so long to cut do so because of the rotary? Yes, because of the rotary blade. Yes, so the rotary blade, I love the rotary blade. I can cut felt now in the scan and cut. However, it does take a very long time. So 2 of the flowers are fairly simple. So those were okay and they didn't take very long to cut, but the one with all the little bumps around the outside, that one took a very long time, but it's because of the rotary blade. I love the rotary blade, but I don't because I have to spend 45 minutes cutting out 2 flowers, but it does cut it. And that's a good thing. So I'll show you a few things next week that, I have some other things that I can use instead of the scan and cut to get similar flowers. So, anyway. Oh, that must have been Lynn. Nope. yeah. Lynn, you're good thing yours worked because then you could just cut yours out with the with the die. So yes. So I'm going to show you some die cutting next week too. So, okay. And we have a drawing at the end. So remember to comment to get into the drawing at the end of the class. And this week, the drawing is going to be for this little clock. I did a class on this quite a while ago, and this is an Anita Good design. And you made a little clock with, like an embroidery hoop, and then you put the little clockworks in the center of it. And so all you have to do is put a battery in, it works. I just don't have a battery in it. Yes, I was doing some other things while I was cutting. Yes. So anyway, this is going to be the prize for tonight is this little clock. So I thought it was kind of cute. So, all right. So I'll put that over here. So remember to comment in order to get entered to win the clock. Okay. So let me switch the camera over and we are going to, it looks like people are finding us okay now. So, and I'm going to turn off the banner. Let me get that turned off first. And we'll talk about the May Kimberbell Cutie. And so today we're going to do we're also going to do some stuff with the bow maker, and we're going to make some flowers, and we're going to do all kinds of stuff tonight. So, okay. This was like one of my favorite ones so far. I really liked this one. So let me get my camera switched over. Sorry, didn't have my camera put down on the machine. All right, let me get the mic turned over and get back to my comments. Okay. All right, so we're going to do some embroidery first, and we've done some of these before, so we're going to do them in a similar manner to the ones that we've done before. I did do a couple of I did like 3 of the corners so that we would, so I'm just going to do 1 corner tonight. Because this one's actually a really fast, easy one to do. So the first thing I did is I wound some bobbins with my matching embroidery thread. So I've got my emerald green for my stems and leaves. That's it. The first thing that's going to sew out is the little stems. So I put my emerald green in my bobbin and in my needle. Okay. And then I also have, the last color I need, I have to find here's my fabric. The last color I'm going to make my cut fabric in is this orange. So that's the flower. And so I've got my orange, and I don't remember what color it was. I think it was pumpkin. Yeah, 126 pumpkin. So I've got a bobbin wound of that as well. And yeah, I thought the fabrics were really cute. It's just, this has been one of my favorites, this one. And then actually I really like June too. I'll show you June at the end. I've got June, July, and August done. And the August one's really cute too. Some people were asking me last week, and I think I told you which quilting design I use. This is the one from, this is called Spring, and it's in the clear blue tiles set. So this was Spring because it had the little flowers on it. I thought it looked like, the little flowers. So I used that one. And then I think the June one it's called Watermelon. So the watermelon one is really cute too. Yeah, I know. Somebody said that there's snow in Wisconsin. Yes, Melody. Oh, Melody. So you're getting snow. We didn't actually get any snow, but it is only 36 degrees here. And I mean, if it gets wet, it's going to be snow, I think. So, but thank you, Jan. But I'm just trying to use up my stash. So most of the stuff was in my stash. The only thing I've had to buy a little bit of for some of mine is the backings. Okay. So I'll show you some sleeting here. Oh, great. It was sleeting. Yay. I haven't looked outside. I just left all the blinds closed today because I've been busy working. So I figured I'm not going to look outside because it's not nice. So, all right. So I did get 3 of my corners done. So I got a red flower, a purple flower, and a pink flower. So I just did 3 of my flowers. So we're going to do these the same as we've done the other 3 so far. We've done what? February, March, and April. So this is May. All right. So we're going to do this the same way. So we have 1 more corner to do here. Okay. So I figured I'd just do 1 corner tonight so we'd have more time to play with the flowers because we have to make the cute little flowers. And I made a few of my flowers today. So here's the little flowers we're going to make. And they're really easy. It's not hard. They look so hard. When I saw them originally, I thought, oh my gosh, those look so hard, but they're so simple to make. So we'll make another little flower. And then we're going to use the bow maker and make some stems. Okay. So again, the first thing I have done with this is I have opened this up in my Dime software. And if you don't have Dime Perfect Embroidery Pro or don't have any other software, there is a free version of this software, and it's called Embroidery Tool Shed that you can print these templates out of. Okay, so if you don't have a way to print templates, if you go to inspiredbydime.com and download Embroidery Tool Shed, they have a free version of that software, and you can do that. So what I did is I printed this out, and I like to use the little, the paper. I think I've showed you this, the print and stick Target paper, because it's got a real light adhesive on the back, and it's repositionable. So I can use it over and over. And then I stuck my little snowman on the corner or on the center of it so that so I can use it over and over again. Now, I did, so if you don't have a snowman, this also gives you the option then to use your grid, your plastic grid that you can line up your design. So I'll show you the one I just finished August this week. And I did use my machine at the store to do those because I had a little time one day, and I did the little beehives. August is little beehives, and I actually just used this template just like I did here with the snowman, but I used my plastic grid with and just lined it up and hooped it because I don't have a camera on that machine at the store. I have a VM 5200 at the store that I sew on, and it's a really nice machine, but it doesn't have any auto centering feature. Okay, so I just use this and I just hooped to that and with my grid, and everything went great because it looks perfect. Okay, so it's very easy to do if you don't have a snowman. I just love my snowman. I use it all the time. All right, so the other thing I did, remember we've done this before, is that there's a outline. If I show you on the screen here, so here's my design, and there's this placement line that we're supposed to be doing this before we put the borders on. Okay, so this placement line would help you place your fabric down. Well, we don't need to use that. So what I did is second here, make sure I'm tight here. I took that placement line, and we have done this on all the other ones. I trimmed up 1/4 of an inch above the placement line and inside the placement line here, and to cut off my template, because then I can just set it right in the corner, because our extra 1/4 inch would be down here in the seam allowance. Okay, so we've already got the seam allowance in here. All right, so I just cut that off and went up 1/4 of an inch so I could just lay this little template right in my corner then. All right, so I think everybody understands that because we've done this a few times already. So, okay, whoops, second here. Now my tablet decided it was going to stop my Facebook. So I have no comments for a moment, so just give me a second. Sometimes my tablet does updates, and then it won't open Facebook. So it must be updating Facebook. So give me a minute. I'll just keep going, and I can see your comments. So if I miss something, give me a minute and I'll try it again in a minute. Okay. So what we're going to do, my tablet doesn't get turned on very often, so it likes to update, of course, right in the middle of class. Okay, so I'm going to take this off, and I've just got the little paper that I've been saving it on here. Just a second here, see if I might try restarting my tablet and seeing if it'll bring it back up again. So we'll just try restarting it, and hopefully I can see your comments on the other computer here. Okay, so I've got my template with my 1/4 inch, cut off, and I'm going to lay this up in the corner of my last corner here. And I'm just going to lay this right down in the corner, right against the border, like this, get it all lined up. Whoops. Sometimes I have a little trouble getting things lined up, so we'll see how I do here. And this is that repositionable paper. Now, if you just printed this out on printer paper, that's absolutely fine. It will work just fine. Just put some tape on the back of it. Okay, I really like. Oh, it was kicking you off. Yeah, it's Facebook sometimes. Well, and I have a feeling what mine's doing is my tablet was updating. Probably there was probably an update for Facebook, and it was updating it. So hopefully it'll come back on again. It's thinking. I'm trying to get it back on. So I've got my little template back on here. Okay, in the corner. I've got my snowman on. So of course this, you can tell where the up is to the design because there's like a little arrow that prints out on the, let's see, did you do the overall quilting through the top batting and backing layers? Yes. So I'm kind of doing these. If you're new to the to these, and the way I'm doing them, I'm actually doing them kind of backwards. So I'm piecing everything, and then I'm doing the embroidery through the backing. Okay. That way I can quilt them, and they're quilted through the backing, and I don't have to free motion it. So yes, I did it through everything. Okay. A second here. Let's see. I think this is coming back up. Yep. That's what it was doing, was updating, because I noticed that they changed something, the way that your account is as well. So here we go. Let's see if I can get back into it. All right, here we are. Just a second here. I just need to bring it up so that I can see your comments. Okay. All right, I think it's going to work now. Some stuff, it's up at least, so I think we're good. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I noticed that something must have updated recently, because I noticed something was different on my phone too. So I had that feeling that it would do that. So, all right. So I've got my template on. I've got my snowman in the center, and I'm going to use my snowman. Okay. I've got my little design already pulled up here on my screen, and then we're going to use our snowman. So this one is a little bit bigger than some of the other ones. This one does need to go in an 8x8 hoop instead of in a 6x10. So it's just a little wide. Somebody asked me, how can I do this in my 6x10 hoop? And what you can do, what makes it too big, is this placement line, but you can print your template off without the placement line on it. And if you have a little bit of software, you can go in and take this placement line out, and then it will fit in a 6x10 hoop. Okay, for those of you with smaller hoops, if you just have a little software, you can take this line right here, because this line is what makes it too big, because it kind of comes over here and makes it too wide to go in a 6x10. Okay. All right, so this is actually my 9x9 hoop, and my 8x8 hoop does not hold very well. It's a little bit loose. So I usually use my 9x9 if I have a choice. And then I also have a lot of option. I have a lot of wiggle room in this particular design then. So I can move it over a little bit so it hoops a little tighter. So I'm just going to hoop this. I had my base already in. You noticed it was already in the machine. And I'm just going to stick it in here and get it as oriented as possible. And you notice that I'm not very close to center, but for this one, it doesn't matter because I've got a bigger hoop. But I am making sure that the top and the bottom are lined up. Okay, see, I'm a little bit off down here. Just a second here. You want to make sure that your top and bottom of your hoop, and this is a dime snap hoop, are even, because if they're not even, that's when you have problems with it slipping. But for some reason, my 8x8 is a little bit loose, and I don't know why. It's always it's an older hoop, so I just wonder if they've changed something, because most of my other ones were bought much later than that 8x8. So anyway, I'm going to try to deal with the 9x9 instead. So, okay. So I am ready to use my snowman. So I got my snowman on there. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm on the embroidery screen like I'm ready to embroider, but I'm going to hit the little snowman dude, because I hit layout. Okay. Some of you may say edit here, depending on the machine you have. So I'm going to hit the little snowman guy. We're going to hit OK and scan. And it's going to click OK. And then it's going to go find the little snowman. So again, make sure that you're commenting in order to win the prize. Some of my comments are kind of gone now because of the restarting of my tablet. I'm just going to warn you. So make sure you're commenting so you get another try at the prize. Okay. So it says remove the embroidery positioning mark. So it found my center. All right. And see how it moved it over here to where the needle is right above the little snowman. So we got that. Now remember, I also have this, there's no stabilizer in here. It's just my table topper. I have my matching green thread right now. You know, I have to say the snowman is pretty awesome, Wanda. It is very awesome. And there's a bunch of machines that have it, even some of the older machines. I mean, it's gone back quite a ways now. The Quattros were the first one with the snowman, and it was such a cool thing. And I use it a lot. Okay. So I'm just going to take my little positioning mark off. I'm happy with where it's at, but I have to go over here, and I don't want it to sew that little line. Okay. So I'm going to go down here to my negative positive needle, and I'm going to go down to the second step, which is going to be my stems. And I already have my green, my emerald green thread in my bobbin and in my needle. That's what my color my stems are. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the stems here. And then we'll do orange. So let me put this over here so I won't lose it. You never know, you might need it again. This was really a fun project. I have been really enjoying these table toppers. I hope you're all enjoying them too. And they're turning out really cute. They're easy, and I just love doing the embroidery on them. So I'm hoping you're all enjoying these. Okay, so here's our other stem. Okay, so now the second color is going to be my my orange for my flower. So I'm going to very carefully, you see I'm holding here up here, I'm going to very carefully remove my hoop. And when you're working with snap hoops, you want to make sure don't pull the top, because if you pull the top, it's just going to pull everything out. So just be careful. I'm just going to pull this bobbin out, and I want to put my orange one in for my flower. So here's my orange, and this was a pumpkin, 126 pumpkin that I used. Okay. I'm going to carefully put this back in. Okay. And I'm pushing also, when I put it back in, you can see I'm pushing from here. I'm not touching the hoop. And that really helps. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead, and everything feels good and straight yet, so I must be okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thread my orange for the rest of it. So this will be for the rest of the flower. Yeah, I kind of wondered if maybe my tablet would want to do an update. They always want to update the second you get on the internet. And so I knew there was a Facebook update. So it's like, oh, well. Okay, so then we're going to do our flower. And this is our placement line for the flower. Now I cut my fabric for my flowers at 4, I think it's 4 by 4. Let me check. I just kind of measured, yeah, 4 by 4 is what I cut mine. Okay, so I've got my orange piece here, and I'm going to lay it up here and cover up my placement line, hopefully. And if you've got a directional piece, like I'm using my border up here to help me get it kind of lined up, so that if it's directional, you know, you may want the direction going a certain way. So I'm gonna kind of lay it up there. And then the next step is going to be the tack down line. Oh, somebody said that you got the 10 by 10 and now it won't recognize the 10 by 10 regular one. I don't know. I do not have that one, Connie. Is that Connie? Yeah, Connie. I do not have that magnetic hoop. I, of course, have the other one. And by the way, my machine is going for a spa day with Ron after class tonight. So I'm going to drop it off in the morning. My machine is very dirty and it needs to be cleaned. So I have not run into that issue, Connie. The one thing that sometimes causes that, there is a little sensor in this thing right here that reads the hoops. And is it reading all your other hoops okay? Just make sure, and then also make sure your machine is updated to the most current version. But there is a little sensor in here that can occasionally have to be replaced. I mean, it isn't something that happens every day, but that is something that can happen, and then it won't read the hoops properly. So is it reading all your other hoops besides that one? That hoop is very heavy though. I mean, I don't know if that made any difference, but I have not used it. So, because I have all of these hoops, I have all of the dime hoops, and so I didn't buy any of the Brother magnetics. I think they're wonderful, but I have all of these hoops, and I have a 10 by 10 already, so I have the dime 10 by 10. All right, so I'm going to trim around the outside edge here. I'm going to have to stand up because I don't like to drag this out too much. Yes, the others work. Interesting. And is your machine updated to the most current version? That is very odd. I don't know. That would be probably a question for your technician or to Brother support. So no, I have not experienced that. And we haven't at the store either. Yes, it has. I know it has upgrade 3, but does it have the most current update? Make sure that you are updated. I think it's 4.51, I think, is the most current update. That's the free ones. So make sure that is current on your machine, because it's possible if you haven't updated that it could be causing an issue as well. So check that. Okay, so we got this all trimmed close to the stitches, just like we have many times. Oops, let me get some of these other strings out of here. All right, and then, of course, the last step for our flower is going to be the satin stitch. And then we get to do all the fun stuff. We get to make the ribbon flowers, and we get to use the bow maker. And so that's like one of my favorite. I just love to play with the bow maker and do all the little embellishment stuff. So this was a really cute one. So while this is sewing, it takes a minute for this part to sew. I might show you what the next ones are instead of at the end when we do it now while this one's stitching. I will switch the camera, and I'll show you the other designs while this one's sewing out, because it just takes a minute to do it. Okay, so I wanted to show you, this is the next one. So in May, the first 2 weeks of May, I just posted this on the group. The first 2 weeks of May, we're going to make the June table topper, and this one's called Watermelon. And the one thing I did do differently is I did ruching on the rind, and you could also use kind of a large rickrack would be really good. So that would be the other option, but this is the one we're going to do in June. Okay, or actually we're going to do in May for June. Okay, and then so this one's really fun. And then this is July. Ladies down here. Here's July, and we'll do this one in June. Now this one was a little bit problematic. I had a little trouble with the size and the borders, so I did have to do a little bit of playing around to get this one to work. And I don't know what the problem was, but I finally got it to work. So, and then I also had changed the way I did the corners a little bit. I used rickrack for my corners for the flags. Okay. And then this is the new one I just finished. So this is August. So this one has the little beehives. And I thought the back was cute. So, and then these little buttons, you can actually buy the little button set. So, and then this one I use this is summer. The quilting design was summer because it has a little bumblebees. All right, so that's August. So that's going to be the one we'll do this one in July for August. So that's as far as I've gotten so far. I'm ready to start September now. So hopefully I can get September done pretty quickly. And then I'll be ahead a couple of months. It's nice to be ahead a couple of months. So, okay. So this is getting about half done. So I'll go back to the other camera here. All right. My resolution is bad, so hopefully it'll be better now. Okay. So we're getting around the little flower here. Yeah, I really like the bee. And the August one was really fun. I just finished that one up. It was actually, it's a similar fabric to this border, but it's a little bit different. I think I got this one. This one I got like at Helios or somewhere, and the other one I think I got at Joann's, but they're just a little bit different. So, but I kind of liked the gray and the black with the bees. They did theirs in, Kimberbell did theirs like in blues, and I thought the gray and the black might be prettier for the bees. So but that one's really cute, and that's the one that we'll do in July then for August. But this one's been one of my favorite ones. I just love the little flowers. So now I am not going to put the flowers on tonight. I'll show you how I put them on and how to make them. But I'm going to wait till I put my binding on so that I won't squash them. Get them all squashed. And so what I do when a lot of people have asked me, how do you pick your colors? Well, what I do is I kind of look at the book to kind of have an idea of how they did them and what colors they did them in. And then I just find something similar in what I have at home. So I'm just trying to use up my fabric here at home. And so it's been kind of fun because I've been kind of using up stuff I have here. And I've had to buy a little bit of like backing or maybe some binding because I didn't have enough to do two, because I always make two of everything, you know. So I had to for the August one. I have to go buy another yard of fabric in Anamosa tomorrow when I run up there. So I needed some backing fabric. Didn't have quite enough to do two. All right, so there's our flower. And by the way, the beehives, I'll bring them up again and show you. I'll put it under this camera. It's a little better. This is the one I did at the store with my other machine that doesn't have the snowman. So you can see I did that. They turned out just fine, but I just used the template like I do for the snowman, but then I just used the lines to help me just hoop it. Okay. So I thought they turned out just real fine. And even though I didn't have the snowman, I can still hoop manually. So, and then this one had these darling little buttons. So I do have these on the website now. And I've had a few people telling me that the website wasn't working, but I think it's working now. Okay. So anyway, these are the little, there's two little red flowers and there's 4 little bees. In 2 little red flowers, 2 little blue flowers, and then the bees. Okay, for the little beehives. And then these were made actually for this table topper.
So, and this is the fabric I need to go to Walmart and get, this little gray with the little leaves on it. I didn't have quite enough to do a second one. So, okay. But I just love the little bees on the, and this was Summer from the Clear Blue Tiles. So, and then I didn't have enough fabric of this to make the binding. So I used another polka dot that's bigger. So I just kind of used what I had for this one. So, and I had a bunch of little yellows to make the beehive, and I had just enough of this to make the little hole in the beehive, but I didn't have enough to make bindings. So, oh, thank you. Oh, Pat, great. The website's working now. Thank you. Yeah, something was weird. Sarah fixed it. This app. She went and looked at it, and she said there was some weirdo thing going on, so she fixed it. Okay. So this is going to be May. So let's go back to May here. So here's our flowers. So we got all 4 of our flowers done. Look at there. Okay. So when I get done with my flowers, I usually turn them over and trim the backs. Give me a second here to get this hoop out of here. Get this out of my way. Okay. So I like to turn these over and trim the back so that I get some of the little tails, out of the way. So just be careful. Don't trim through the knots, just trim the ends off. Don't trim through the knot. So we're just going to trim these off. Okay. And make it nice and neat on the back. And I already did that with my other ones. I did that this morning when I was working on this. Okay. All right. So there are my 4 flowers from the back. So I had pink, purple, red, and then kind of an orange flowers. I just used some fabrics that I thought were pretty and I hadn't had in my stash. Okay. So there's the back. And this one had the light gray that I had as a border for the backing. And that one I actually did have enough of it for 2 of them. So, okay, so there's our flowers. Look at that. So does that make sense to everybody? I think we've done we've done a few of these corners now, so I'm sure it's making more sense to you how this works. And the little template works very well to get them lined up so that they look beautiful. Okay, so now we need to make some more flowers for that. So we got the big flower, but we don't have the little ones yet. So now we're going to make some ribbon flowers. And these are on, let me grab my book here. So the ribbon flowers are on, the instructions for them are in the book here. Got to find them. April, here's, whoops, one more page for May. So it's on page 13 in the book. And normally I don't do this kind of stuff on my machine, but that's where the camera is. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this over here. And I'm going to bring over my little glue gun, my heat mat, my little mat that I use with my glue gun, because I'm going to have to set my glue gun over here. We're going to need it. Okay. And I usually just use a hot glue gun when I'm doing these kind of things. So we're going to make some of these little flowers. So I made a few of them already. So here's the red one. I just had a pack of Kimberbell ribbon. So here's my pack of Kimberbell ribbon, and it had like 2 pinks and 2 reds in it. One's kind of an orangey red, one's darker, and then I had these 2 pinks in here. So I just used those. And so here's the dark red, and here's the lighter red one. This one's a little bit more orangey red. Okay. Then I put a button in the center. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, was that Connie? Yeah, I made a book. I have a book with all my quilting designs too, because I like to have a book of them so I know what I have. And then here's the light pink one. Okay. So there's my first 3. So let's make a flower. So when I saw these originally, I thought, oh my gosh, these are just going to take forever to make. But you know what? They are so easy. So what you need is 4 20-inch pieces of ribbon. And these are about 1/4 or 3/8 inch ribbon. And then you're going to cut each 20-inch piece into 4 5-inch pieces. Okay. So each flower takes 4 5-inch pieces of ribbon. Okay. And then I'm going to grab a pin. So I got my pin, got my hot glue gun going here. Okay. And we're going to make a flower. So what I did is I just take these 5-inch pieces that I cut, fold them in half, and we're going to just put the pin in the middle so I can see where the middle is. And we're going to do this on all 4 of these. And I'm going to take my hot glue gun, maybe, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the center here, toward right at about where the pin is. Then I'm going to pull up the end and put it right up to the pin and just push down on it. Okay, like that. So that I put the right up to the pin, and then I'm going to take the pin out now so I don't get it glued into my ribbon. All right, so there's the first half. And then I'm going to take the second half and I'm going to put, glue right up at the end of that ribbon. You can kind of see where it's at. Second, my glue stick's getting kind of empty here. Hopefully I have another one. I think I do. Yep. And then I'm going to put the other end right up to the first end, like this. Okay, just be careful not to burn yourself. I did this afternoon. I burnt my finger right here when I was working on the flowers. Okay, so there is my first piece. So you got the 2 ends, you bring them up to the center like that, and then you got 2 little loops like this. Okay, isn't that easy? And then let's do another one. So we're going to do all 4 of these. Going to fold it in half first and put the pin in there. You could also use maybe like a water-soluble pen or something, but this works pretty well with the pin. So I just kind of take the pin, put a little bit of glue right up against where the pin is. Okay. Then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put the end right up to the pin to make the first loop. And then I'm going to pull that pin out so I won't get it glued into my flower. And then I'm going to take the other half and put the little bit of glue. Oops, got a little bit too much that time, didn't I? Okay, and then we're going to pull this and put the 2 ends together. Like that. So there's a second one. So you're going to have 2 little loops like that. Okay. I always have strings of hot glue everywhere. Let's do another one. But when I started doing these, I'm like, oh, well, these are so easy because I'd never made them before. And I thought, oh, those are easy. Yeah, you could use instead of the pin, you could just make a chalk mark or whatever you want. But like the hot pen, like if you use like a friction pen or a hot pen, it probably would come off with the heat of the glue gun. So I just been sticking the pin in. So I'll do the first one. Okay, bring my end up to the pin like that, press it down. You don't need much glue. And then I'm just going to pull the pin out and I can see where the end is right there. Yeah, so if you just want to use a marking pen or something, that's fine too. Whichever works for you. I think they said a pin in the instructions. So I did it the first time I made them with the pin. I thought, oh, that works okay. All right, so put that right up to the other end and I'm going to press down. Just don't put too much glue on. Okay, so then we got our little flower petal with the 2 loops. Got one more to do. So like I said, I normally don't use hot glue on my sewing machine, but this little thing helps. And then but it's hard for me to move my camera enough for you to see what I'm doing. So it's easier for me to work right in front of me here. So you understand. So I have these little silicone, like mats. So these work really good. Keeps things from getting stuck too. All right, so I got my pin in there. I'm going to put my little bit of glue in here. Okay, bring that up to the center, bringing the end up, putting it right on the pin. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that pin out, push it down, and then we'll do the other side. So this one actually had quite a little bit of embellishment to do. Some of them don't. So, all right, push that down. So I'm going to get the glue off of there. I have a hard time with hot glue. Me and hot glue don't always get along too well. All right, so there's our fourth piece. All right, so now to make the flower, let me get the pin out of the way here. So now to make the flower, you're going to start and make sure that the place where you glued it is on the bottom. So this is like the where we put the two raw edges. Make sure the raw edges are down. Okay. And I'm going to put a little glue on this raw edge, and we're going to put it onto this one. So the raw edges are down. Got to make sure I got this one right. Yep. I don't have my glasses on, so hopefully I don't mess it up. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue there, and I'm going to crisscross them, and I'm going to try to get it as even as possible. Like this. So you're going to make a, put one horizontal and one vertical, like that. And push it down in the center. Okay? So that's the first two layers, and then the next layer, again, this is the wrong side. That's where the two pieces are together. So I'm going to put some glue on there. Okay, and we're going to center that on these two, but it's going to go this direction. Okay, I'm going to center it on there and push it down in the center. I always have lots of strings. Okay, get that off of there. All right, and then we got one more to do. Got to find the raw edge. That's the raw edge. This is the underneath, so we want to put the glue on that. So remember, all the raw edges are down. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Now I'm going to put it this way. Try to get it even and push it down. Right in the middle. And look, it's a flower. Isn't that easy? Okay, so now they had you put some buttons in the middle. Now, of course, they tell you to sew them, but I don't like to sew buttons on. So we're going to use hot glue to put our buttons on. So I had these kind of yellow greenish colored buttons, and so that the hot glue doesn't come up through the holes, I kind of just went around the edges. I used hot glue, but I just kind of went around the edges here so that they wouldn't come up through the holes. Okay. I'm just going to stick this down right in the center of my flower. So it looks like my center of my flower. And if you want to, you could even put thread through the buttonholes if you wanted to, but I didn't on mine. Okay. So that's how you make the little flowers. Aren't they cute? I really enjoyed doing these. These were really fun. So, and it was really easy. Like I said, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, I do not like hand sewing either, but aren't those darling? Very, very cute. So there's the little flowers. So we got all four of the little flowers. So you're going to put one flower on each corner. Okay. And then the other flower needs a little center. So let me bring over my other table topper that's done here. So here's our little flowers, but then I'm also going to show you how to make the stems. Yeah, you could sew through the center if you wanted to. Okay, you could just put some thread through the center if you wanted to make it look like it was sewn on. I didn't, because I just didn't take the time to do that when I make so many of these. I didn't do it on these. Okay, so there's my flowers. So I'm going to set those aside. And then let me bring over, a second here. Let me bring over my table topper that's done, so you can see what we did. So you put one of these on the opposite stem. So like, the stem that we did the flower that we embroidered is already got a flower, but this one, you're going to put this one. So I just kind of, picked out a color that went nice with whatever I had for a flower. Okay. But we also need some little stems. We need some like leaves, I should say. So what they did is they took some little ribbons and made bows to make them look sort of like like little leaves on the stems. Okay. So, and then also, if you notice, I put buttons in the centers of the flowers. And I had these really cute little buttons that I found that were flowers. So I've got some more here, and I'm just going to glue those in the center. So I have 4 more here to put in the center of my flowers. Okay. And I think I got these at Walmart and Anamosa, these little flowers. I thought they were cute. So we're going to put those in the center of all of our flowers. Okay. The bigger ones, I should say. So I've got those in this little tub so I won't lose them. Okay. So now I've got some ribbons here. And I cut them, I think they said in the instructions to cut them 9 inches. Yes, but I cut mine 12 inches to make sure that I had enough to tie a real nice, because I wanted my little leaves to be big enough. So I actually cut mine 12 inches, and I know I cut mine off some, but it's easier to tie with the bow maker. So I'm going to get my bow maker out here. Whoops, second, something just hit the floor on the other side of the table. Yeah, aren't those buttons cute? All right, so I'm going to get my bow maker out. We're going to make some bows. So I get the base out. Let's find my little posts. These are up on my website on the sew-along-with-jan.square.site. And I think they're $20. Oops. If you want a bow maker, because you know I can't tie a bow at all if I don't have some help. I love the bow maker. Okay, so I think I put these 2 holes apart, if I remember. So we're going to try it at 2 holes. And this was just like 1/4 inch ribbon, or 3/8 would work, whatever you got. I just happened to have some green with the little loops on it. So that's all I had. So then to use the bow maker, we're going to do this again. So I'm going to kind of hold this tail shorter and this one longer. And what you do when you use the bow maker is you're going to cross these over, but then you're going to flip that longer one down underneath and up and over. So this is actually, the back side is the front. Okay. So then all the tying is going to happen on the back. Now this is an easy ribbon to tie because it is the same on both sides. Okay, so it's easier to tie these. And I know I'm pretty sure I did, the 12 inches. So here's my ribbon. So I just tied it. I just did an overhand knot and I tied it. And now we can take these and trim them to where we want them. I'll just tie them for now. And when I put them on, I'm going to hot glue them on. Okay. And then I will trim off my tails. But it was easier to tie with 12 inches than only 9. So I just cut them 12. It's just easier to get them tied. So let's tie another one here. So these will be the little stems. It does make it easier, Margaret. I have had a bow maker for many, many years because of the dolls. And it's so much easier with a bow maker because I just can't tie a bow to save my life. Okay, so I'm just going to tie this in a knot and tie it tight, let it go tight like that. And then I'm going to pull it off and there's my bow. Okay, so this will be the leaves and the leaves of the stems like that. So I kind of matched my thread with my ribbon that I wanted for my stems. Okay, so we're going to do another one here. So again, I'm going to leave my kind of short end this way. Then I've never used a bow maker. Yeah, they are pretty awesome. And my friend Orlin makes them for me. So they're up on the website. They're, like I said, I think they're $20. And I can ship them. I think it's $10 for shipping. Shipping's really gotten expensive. It's amazing how much the shipping has gotten. All right, so I'm going to flip this under, if I can get a hold of it. Nothing's being cooperative tonight. Have you ever had those days that nothing cooperates? There we go. Okay, so when you tie this, this is actually the back. So the front's out here, and that in the front of it's going to be all this beautiful bow. So I'm going to flip it over, and then you've got this beautiful bow on the front. So it's really neat, and you really notice it when you're working with like one-sided ribbon, you know, that has one, you know, ribbon that only has one good side. So then, you know, it makes it so much easier, and you always have this beautiful bow that has the right side on the front. So that's the thing. That's why I got it. And you can also wrap it around several times if you want to have more loops on each end. And you can, okay, so there's another one. And you can wrap it around several times. I don't have enough ribbon here to do that, but like when I make use wider ribbon, I often use wired ribbon for my doll's hair, and then I can make I can wrap it around a few times, and then I can use. How do you do a single? Oh, I can grab some ribbon, Lynn. Just a second, I'll show you. I've got some here, so. It's really hard to do. Yeah, it's easier to do. So when you're starting using a bow maker, it's actually easier to start with ribbon that is the same on both sides. Because then if you struggle, it makes it easier. Okay. So here's my other ribbon. So these are going to be my leaves on my stems. Okay. All right. So there's my ribbons. So Lynn was asking how I do one-sided ribbon. So this is one-sided ribbon. Let me just pull some of this off so we can see. I can show you in a second. Okay, so this is one-sided ribbon. So like this is white on one side and it's the pink on the other. Okay, and then let's say that we're tying a single bow with this one. So what I'm going to do, I just pulled it all off, so I had a bunch to work with. So the deal is, you want to wrap, you want to look at the right side, okay? And then I'm going to flip it over this way, okay? Now, when you're looking at the front, make sure that the wrong side is toward you when you flip it back over, because that way it's going to be pretty on that side, okay? And then the other thing I need to do is this little string right here has to kind of be flipped over so that when you go to tie it, the right sides are going to show to the front. Okay, so this is the front, and then we want both the wrong sides going toward me because this is the front. So I have to kind of flip that one tail over a little bit. Okay, so here's one. So you can see this is the right side, and then the tails are the right side. So what I did is the one side I have to flip this over so that it shows on the right side. So all the right sides are showing towards me. So like if I wanted to do multiples. Now, I did do another video on just the bow maker. It's on YouTube, and it's called it's just about the bow maker. So like I did a couple of other ribbons. So like, let's say I want to wrap this around twice like this. Then I can do the same thing. I can flip this over, got the wrong side toward me because this is the back. And then I can flip this one over. So this strand here, I have to flip over so that the front is moving that way. Okay. So when I go to flip this, so I flip this over so that the front's going towards the front. Okay. And then I'm going to tie this and make sure when I get a hold of it that the back is facing me. All right. So see how the backs are facing me? Like that. And I'm just going to tie it. And then this one has two little strands. So see how it has two strands? You can pull these out. And when you use wired ribbon, it's really fun. Like this is pretty stiff ribbon. But when you use wired ribbon, it's really fun because then you can play with the bows and you can use the wired ribbon. Wired ribbon is very forgiving. Okay, so there's one has 2 things. Let's try one with 3. I think I've got enough ribbon here to do one with 3. But if you have wired ribbon, it really is forgiving and it makes it look so fluffy and pretty. So that's what I usually put in my doll's hair. So here's one, and I'm going to wrap it around one more time like this. Okay. So I'm going to pull this way a little bit. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. I've got both the right sides looking at me, and I'm going to flip this under, and the right side is facing away from me now. The wrong side's towards me. Okay. And then I need to flip this one that's over here. I need to flip this one over so that the wrong side is towards me. All right, before I try to tie it. And then I'm going to tie it. Okay. So I've been using one of these for years and years, so you just have to practice. Okay, so then I want both the wrong sides towards me when I go to tie the knot. Okay, I'm going to tie it really tight. Okay. So I tied it really tight, and the wrong sides are both towards me. And then when I pull this off, this one's got 3 pieces. And when I use this method, when I'm putting lots of little tines, you know, like lots of little bow parts on it. Okay, for right-handed. Oh, thanks, Lynn. Of course you want to do it right-handed. So you are going to turn it the other way. I am left-handed. So sometimes when I'm on camera, it's enough that people can understand. But if I can do it right-handed, I might be able to do a single one right-handed. So if I'm doing it right-handed, okay, you're going to have the short end this on the other side, on this side. Okay, this is my short end. And then I'm going to go, the long end that I'm going to tie with is going to be over here. And then I'm going to flip it under. So yes, Lynn, I can do this right-handed. It's harder for me. I will fumble, I promise. So again, the right side is away from me. Okay. And then I have to flip this over so that the wrong side's towards me. Okay. And then I'm going to just flip this underneath. But I am ambidextrous, so I can use both hands. Okay. So then I'm going to pull, and I'm going to make sure that both of the wrong sides are towards me. So that is tied right-handed, Lynn. I just got a new faucet. I'll tell you a funny story. I just got a new faucet in my kitchen. And of course, it's right-handed. So there we go. See, I can do it right-handed, Lynn. And my kitchen faucet is right-handed because, you know, the off is on the right side. And so there we go. So see, I can tie them right-handed, but you're going to have the little end on the other side. Okay. So try what works for you. Like when I got one, of course, all my friends are right-handed and they're trying to teach me how to use it. And so I just took it into the other room where it was quiet, and I figured out how my hands worked with it, doing the same thing. So it's better just to kind of, you know, like I said, I'm left-handed. So sometimes it's hard for me to show right-handed people, but if you kind of just go, if you see the motions that I'm making, just go work with it to make it work with your hands. Okay. So there's my bows. I love the bow maker. But anyway, I got this new faucet, and it's one of those big tall ones, you know, that has the pull down in the center, and but the faucet thing where you turn it off is on the right. And if I don't reach up with my right hand to turn it off, it leaks. So it is a right-handed faucet. And I had just gotten a new one up at my father's house. And if I did not reach up and turn that thing off with my right hand, it would leak every time. If I turned it off with my left, it would leak. So they do make right and left-handed faucets. They're all right-handed, just so you know. So anyway, that is the bow maker. And then depending on, you know, how far apart you put these, you can make different size bows. You can make great big humongous bows. And then Orland makes 3 sizes of pegs. So if you're using the real thick ribbons, you want to use these bigger pegs. So Orland makes actually 3 sizes of pegs, and mine only has 2 because I had another friend that made this one for me. And then I noticed that Orland's has, we've had a little bit of humidity, okay, and some of the pegs are just a little bit on the tight side, so you might have to take a little bit of sandpaper and just sand a little bit at the bottom because some of the pegs were a little tight. I noticed when I used one the other day. This one's so old, I think it's tired of getting bigger and smaller. The world doesn't think about left-handed people, Cindy. Well, I think that's why so many left-handed people are ambidextrous, because we live in a right-handed world, and so I can use my right hand. I'm also a musician, so you have to use your right hand to play an instrument, and so I actually can use both hands pretty well. I learned to knit and crochet right-handed. I still sew with a needle left-handed, but I knit and crochet right-handed because my mother couldn't teach me left-handed. She couldn't fix my mistakes, so she just taught me right-handed because I didn't know the difference anyway. So, and I also cut right-handed. If you notice, I cut with my right hand. I couldn't cut left-handed to save my life because Mom wouldn't buy me left-handed scissors. So anyway, so we got bows. So what did you think about the bow maker? And then this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to put the binding on first before I put all the bows on. I don't want to squash them. So I'm just going to glue these on with hot glue onto the other little stem that's empty. And then I'm going to glue the little leaves, and I'll probably trim off, down here. Oh, cool. Yeah, left-handed, it's very hard for me to learn hand sewing technique from right-handed people because I can't do it the same way and everything is completely backwards. So I have a hard time hand sewing. My grandma tried to teach me some things, and she was right-handed. So I'd sit in front of her and I could usually get it, but there's still a angle thing that does not work for me. So I'm not a very good hand sewer. That's why I do everything with the sewing machine. So anyway, all right. So what do you think of my little flowers? So I had purple and this kind of pink. I had the hot pink and the red flower on this one. I had orange with the kind of orangey red. And then I had the light pink with my red. So that's how I'll put mine on. And he can't cut with his right hand. So I can actually use a rotary cutter right-handed also. So, but I feel more comfortable cutting with a left-handed rotary cutter. So yes, this is, yes, Cindy, this was the spring in the, this quilting design is spring in the clear blue tiles. Yes. So this one was spring. And then I did, the next one I think is just the swirls. I think I used the June one. I think I just used swirls in there. I like the clear blue tile ones because they are actually really pretty. So I've been using those, and I've used some of the other ones too. But if people bought the clear blue tiles, I've been using a bunch of those just so that people could use them. So aren't they pretty? All right. So here's what it looks like then with all of our done without the flowers. So we'll be able to do the flowers. I'll do the flowers, and I'm just gonna either sew. You can either sew, or I'm just gonna hot glue my buttons in the center of my big flowers. So I've got those cute little flower buttons. I'm just gonna put those like there. I'm just gonna glue mine on. Okay. Yeah, I bet. If you had a broken arm, you probably got to use your left hand quite a bit, Marianne. So yeah. So I'm gonna glue those on then once I'm done with the. I don't want to glue anything on until I'm done with the binding though, because I don't want to squash all my flowers. So, all right. So that is the May Cutie. And so we'll be starting. So next week we're going to do, let me bring these up so you can see them a little bit closer up. Next week we're going to have scan and cut, and we're going to do the cute little flowers. Let me get those back over here. So we're going to do the little flowers. So we're going to do this little welcome sign. with the flowers. And remember, the first post on Sew Along with Jan, and I'll also link to the Dropbox in the YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll have a link to it for these the designs. So I gave you this design, and this design. This is the same flower design we used for the vinyl, the little shadow box that we did the vinyl on some years ago with the paper roses. So this is the same one. I just made it a little different, a different size. And then I made this one in actually Perfect Embroidery Pro. And I made this one in Perfect Embroidery Pro and made them into a cut file. And then this is in the software and also in the machine. But I actually did it in the software because in the machine it wouldn't let me elongate it, but it would in the software. So I gave everybody this little welcome, and I just cut this out of paper. So this is just black paper. Okay, and the felt is just, these are all just you know, like, I think one of these, this is Kimberbell felt, and these were just felt that I had at Hobby Lobby or something. Walmart, probably. I got felt. So you can use wool felt too if you want to. Okay, so that's the little sign we're going to make next week. And I got the little signs, just so you know, I got the little signs. They're not very big. No, I got the little signs. That's what I was just starting to say. I got the little signs at Hobby Lobby, and they were in a package of, I think, 4 for around $5. So you got 4 of these in a package, and they had some whitewashed ones, and they had some that were brown, so you could get either color. So I just got the whitewashed ones. Okay. So that's where I got them, was at Hobby Lobby, and they were in the, you know, the wood pile area. And I think those might be on sale this week because they weren't last week, so they may be back on sale again this week. So I think I got them for $4.99 minus 40%. Okay. And I did get some stuff. Now this I got at the Dollar Tree. So yes, so this is the other one. I just made this today. I got this little house at the Dollar Tree. Isn't that cute? And then I made some more flowers for the bottom of it. And then this is from Tailored Expressions. This is done with the mink, and this is foiled, this little sentiment up here, but you could put any sentiment on it. And I just foiled that with my mink and then put that on and then put my flowers on. So there's my little sample I made today. I thought that was pretty. Okay, so we have to give away a gift. So has everybody been commenting? We got to give away our gift. So this week, the gift is going to be the little clock. So remember, if you are from away from here, you'll need to personal message me your shipping address so I can mail this to you. Okay, it's very light, but it's just a little bigger. I'll have to put it in a little box. Okay, so just a second. I got to get my tablet here. So let's see who's going to win the clock. Gotta mix up the names. Okay. And I'm going to turn my head and put my finger down. And it's on, oh, Lori Pfeiffer. Lori Pfeiffer. So Lori, you won the clock. Lori's from the Davenport area, so I'll send that down to Davenport to you, Lori. Okay, so Lori Pfeiffer won the clock, so I'll send that down to Davenport for you, and you can pick it up at the store. All right, so next week we'll be doing some scan and cut, and then the last week in April, we're actually not going to have a class because I usually take the 5th Sunday. When there's 5 Sundays, I usually take the 5th Sunday off. So that's the 5th Sunday. So I'm actually going to take the 5th Sunday off, and then we will come back and work on the June Kimberbell Cutie for the first 2 weeks in May. So, all right. So let me bring this up so I can say goodbye to everybody. And okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. And I will be seeing you next week for scan and cut. We're going to make some flowers. And then the following week will be off again. So I'm going to take a little bit of time. Now, just so you know, my father's house, I believe, is sold. Fingers crossed, everybody. And so I thought that would be a little celebration for me that weekend. The closing is like a day or so before. So I was hoping to have a little celebration the last weekend in April, and it ended up being the 5th Sunday. So I'm just going to take that one off. So, okay. So we'll see you next week for Scan and Cut, and we're going to make some flowers. And then the following week we're off. And then the first 2 weeks in May, we're going to be making the June Cutie. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.